let's go to Dorothea.
Dorothea.
All right, let's see if we can find you something nice, honey.
Dorothea returned to the Middle Frank Opera Company as soon as the war was over. Thanks to her talent, the company enjoyed a resurgence in popularity that lasted well beyond the end of her own career. Once she gave up her position as a songstress, she settled down to a private life of peace and quiet. It is said that she was very happily married.
I appreciate that they put in the very happily married, since that actually was
a goal.
Yeah.
Would be, you'd want to put in the thing of, oh, by the way, she also achieved her goal of finding a nice rich husband.
Yeah, she did marry someone.
Before we move on from Dorothea as a person, I just want to say, as far as like units on a map go, she was probably the best one in my opinion, and every single playthrough I had, she was the biggest force of destruction other than me. Actually,
Really?
I take that back. She was probably a close second to Lysynthia. Lysynthia was legitimately go somewhere, kill something.
Really?
Yep.
I mean, she was...
Took a little while. Yeah, I say Lysynthia definitely more like as a late game go somewhere, kill something.
Like Dorothea learns the meteor spell, with lets you deal a ton of damage to someone halfway across the map. She's got Thoron, which lets her deal a ton of damage to someone multiple spaces away. If you learn
second playthrough, I did nothing. She basically had no purpose. I did not use her at all.
She learns a lot of really cool spells, and if you get the right abilities with her, she can like kill people from 5-6 spaces away. So yeah,
she's also I always went went more of the sword route, and then went back into
give her 11 sword and things get real exciting.
Yeah. So it's definitely like the Mortal Savant. Is
always. Yep.
Yeah, Mortal Savant with 11 sword is how you build Dorothea.
Okay. Well, anyway.
The weddings of the Hegemon. Almost immediately after the modest wedding ceremony between Byleth and Dorothea was over, the battle against those who slither in the dark began in earnest. Dorothea chose not to take the field of battle with a weapon, but rather to tend the household in her spouse's absence and provide emotional support to his efforts to bring peace to Fodland. Many years after the war had ended, Dorothea's diary was uncovered, revealing the full extent of the happy life the couple shared. The love poems that they wrote to one another were published in a collection.
Oh, lies.
Dorothea's too cool to stay at home. Maybe there's a better ending in here somewhere.
We just talked about how great a character she was in the map.
Read this one. See if this one's any better.
After ascending to the throne as the first leader of the United Kingdom of Fodland, Byleth announced his marriage to Dorothea. The former songstress refused to stay out of the public eye, keeping to herself.
Stay out of the public eye.
Resolved to stay out of the public eye. Keep herself and family, but as Byleth worked tirelessly to restore Fodland, she did offer advice from time to time. It is said that their experience growing up as a commoner provided a useful perspective. Many years later, her diary was uncovered, revealing the full extent of the happy life they shared. Love poems.
No.
Wow.
So this is actually the ending I got for my Blue Lion, and I was very disappointed because their supports were really good, and this ending is just not.
Oh.
Ick. All right.
You.
Well, no.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah, this was my runner-up on the Black Eagle playthrough, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you'd have been disappointed if you'd gone that route. I'm guessing this is probably going to be exactly the same. Yep. Okay. So bad, but with ladies.
Yes.
All right. Yes.
The Petra, woo! Queen of Brigid, Petra returned to her homeland of Brigid and inherited the throne from her grandfather. As ruler, she declared independence from Fodland and renegotiated Brigid's diplomatic ties to that nation on more equal terms. At every step along the way, she was accompanied by Dorothea, who had left Fodland behind to support her. Dorothea used the connections she had made in her time at the opera to her benefit, and even worked reluctantly with the Fodland nobility for Petra's sake. People of Brigid were skeptical of her at first, but warmed up to her over time. It is said that she became the person whom Petra loved the most.
I can believe it.
Yep. It's a kind of a weak description, and it feels kind of copy paste of the Caspar page.
Well, poor Petra. All of her endings are half. Here's what she did with Brigid, and then
with
maybe
Brigid
she married someone.
Yeah. But as a ship, I get it, and it's finally, Dorothea and Petra getting to be gay with someone.
Yeah, I imagine these two would be very happy together.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We have to talk about what's not here.
What?
Continue with this.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Oh, okay. So good on this one?
Yeah, good.
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 Right. There we go.
Dorothea Felix, the Meandering Sword. Even after the war's end, skirmishes continued to break out across Fodlan. Learning that there were still places where he could fight, Felix abandoned his noble title and chose to make a living with his sword. He traveled the land and some years later found himself in Enbar. There, he encountered Dorothea, who had just resumed her career as a songstress in the opera. From that time on, no matter how far Felix traveled, he always found himself drawn back to that opera house. It is said that when Dorothea saw his face in the crowd, she sang only for him.
Did they get married? Read this
I don't know.
one.
This isn't finished. This is not a do not finish. That's clearly a romantic.
Oh, they
romantic
literally get married in this one. Okay, super.
It's a weak. After the war, Felix inherited the title of Duke Feldarius from his late father Rodrigue. He married Dorothea, and the two began a happy life together. After they had finished restoring Feldarius' territory, Felix traveled across Fodlan as the king's right hand. Dorothea traveled with him always, and even threw herself into battle alongside him every so often. Tales of their bravery endured for generations, thanks in no small part to the operas that Dorothea wrote and composed herself.
All right, this was really boring until the last line.
Yeah.
Like, oh wait, she wrote operas about them.
I mean,
Ha!
that's a good ending, but I don't know if I buy this couple.
Oh, not at all.
Yeah, no.
This is such weak sauce that I have to go bad.
Yeah, I'll say bad as well.
It's to say that
Yeah.
It's to say that it's really bad. It's just so weak that you can't even go neutral.
Yeah, I'm so actively grasping for anything that they like, oh, rather than singing in the opera company, she takes to writing because it's something she can do on the road.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
And I was like, oh, look, she actually does participate fights in this one. That's better. But none of this has anything to do with them actually being a couple.
Yeah, no.
Bad. Felix is not doing well.
No one's surprised.
Dorothea Sylvain. After more than 10 proposals, Dorothea finally relented and agreed to marry Sylvain. Together they inherited Gautier territory. With the support of his wife's council, the new Margrave Gautier was able to improve relations with the Strang people and thereby convince the local nobles that relics and crests were no longer an absolute requirement for survival. Due to their efforts, they went down in history as an extraordinary lord and lady. It is said that what finally convinced Dorothea to marry Sylvain was his promise that they would grow old happily together, and that he was true to his word.
I like that. I like the idea that Sylvain had to act, who has so much success with the women, had to beg her to marry him. I like that.
Also, they have good supports. Dorothea, of course, seeing straight through Sylvain's BS right away.
Yeah.
So
and of course, him having a commoner who isn't after him for his crest.
Yeah. And he is actually deeper than he seems.
I do like his character actually quite a bit.
So yeah, I think this is a good. I think this is a good ship.
Good job. Lorenz.
By the way, I have to say that the Ferdinand Lorenz supports are the best in the entire
Were they trying to
game.
out-noble each other, basically?
They're basically just like agreeing the whole time, like the whole thing.
Well, nobility. Well, of course, nobility. Well, of course.
That is literally the whole thing. That is 3 full scenes of them doing that and talking about tea. It's great. I love it. I actually really like Lorenz, and I never thought I would, but I do. Anyway.
As the new head of House Gloucester, Lorenz first worked to restore his own territory, and then expanded his vision to include reforms for all Fodlan. At the height of his storied political career, he announced his marriage to Dorothea, who would return to prominence with the Middle Frank Opera Company. The elaborate wedding was the most talked about social event of the season, and the fashions on display from the savvy nobleman and the stylish songstress are set the trends with young people across Fodland for a decade.
Actually, I kind of like the idea of them as like socialites.
There's
like
there's an element of this that works where they're just fabulous together, where they just go out and just be amazing.
I've decided good. It's not my favorite, but I've decided good.
I would say it barely squeaks into good.
Yeah. Like, because I think it would end up with both of them having roles that suited them really nicely.
Okay.
I've been curious about this one.
And the father of Christology.
He's not even loading. Hanneman doesn't even want to be a part of this.
Though Fodland has changed, Hanneman's goal remained unwavering, to determine the workings of the crests and to do away with the inequality caused by them. To that end, his research resulted in magical tools which could be used even without the aid of crests. This proved to be yet another worthwhile discovery by the father of Crestology. Hanneman also became a father in more literal sense by raising many children with his wife Dorothea. Their marriage was not publicly known, however, as the songstress elected to keep it secret for the sake of both of their careers. They felt it was too creepy to talk about.
Their supports just made me feel gross. Like, it's just, there he is. It felt like Dorothea was, like, almost all of Dorothea's supports start with her kind of being a little manipulative with potential marriage prospects. And then eventually, like, they get to know each other for real. Hanneman's supports just felt like she's manipulative the whole way through, and it just, by the end, it doesn't seem to work. It seems like Dorothea, like, was trying to play that game where it's like, I'm trying to be a fake person, and eventually you'll see through that, and then we can get married, and that never happened. It's just Hanneman was too romance dense to figure out that's what was going on.
So bad.
It's just bad. And that's not even talking about the inherent creepiness.
Yeah, I mean, any Hanneman student relationship is going to have a lot to overcome.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be good.
How does Dorothea do with the divine songstress Manuela? The Middle Frank Opera Company was on the brink of collapse until two of its star songstresses, Manuela and Dorothea, returned to the stage and brought the troupe new life and prominence. They toured all over Fodland, sometimes even visiting troops on the front lines, soothing hearts with their beautiful songs wherever they went, and donating their profits to the relief and rebuilding effort. When the damage from the war had finally healed, the pair once again retreated from the stage, this time retiring to a private life together. It is said that the relationship was full of light and love.
I don't like it as much as I thought I would.
It's not a great ending, but I will say, I like these two. I would be very happy together since they have so much in common. There's just so much they could talk and experience about together.
I could see them both coming to the conclusion of, you know what, the problem is men. All of our goals have involved men, and that was the problem. Once we removed them, everything was cool.
I'm just stuck on the inserting kind of these two characters into the show Chicago.
Oh.
The thing that makes me curious about this one, and we'll never know the answer to because it's not addressed in the ending, is this a situation where Manuela still is kind of a hot mess and Dorothea just kind of is like, yeah, I'll deal with it? Or is this a situation where Manuela, like, tries to improve herself for Dorothea?
Yeah, there's...
Because that's the one thing that bugs me a little bit about this one, is the idea that Dorothea definitely, like, has some idolization of Manuela, but Manuela is like as she was presented in the game.
It's not good for Manuela to be idolized.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta move to neutral on that. Yeah, you're making an excellent point. Neutral?
Neutral. Again, I would say they'd be happy together, but there's just some elements that are not addressed that
Yeah,
bug me a little.
they're clear kind of nagging things that pull it back. Yeah. Dorothea and Yuri, the Underground Lord. A new opera company was born of the post-war rebuilding period. This troupe, headed up by a former songstress, was comprised of hand-picked talent from all walks of life. Though it began humbly, over the years it grew to rival even the Middle Frank Opera Company in its greatness. The most popular production in its repertoire was a tale of a disillusioned songstress making a comeback with the help of her ambitious lover. Through that story, the names of Yuri and Dorothea live on this very day.
Okay, so the supports for this are actually really good because she finds out that he's actually an incredible singer.
Oh,
but he won't do it. It frustrates the hell out of her because he will sing to the to the street kids, and she keeps going, come on, we're doing a thing, you should come sing. He's like, I'm not doing it, you can't make me. And she ends up I forget what she does, but she has to manipulate him into it and stuff like that. So there actually is when you talk about this and go, so where is Yuri and all this? It's he's one of the singers in the handpicked talent.
I like those supports because you would assume, with these two, you would assume the whole point of their supports is just trying to out manipulate each other. But if it turns out to have something where it's actually music that's their link together, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be down with this being good.
Yes. Good, it's good.
Yes.
With Yuri, I think at 100% good so far.
I don't think he has that many more options.
Yeah, it's a pretty short list.
All right, so don't forget about the folks we already talked about in prior things. What do we think?
Well, I want to point out one clear clear absence from this list that is wrong. Is Ingrid is not on this list. Ingrid was not available as a. It was very clearly set up in their supports that Dorothea and Ingrid as an option, and that Dorothea was super into her.
There's a whole mission where Dorothea says we have to go stop Ingrid from getting married.
Yes. Doesn't, but it's not an option for that to be a thing. So, just want to lodge my official complaint here and now.
Lodged. I'll file it away with our Fire Emblem congressman or woman.
Yes.
All right, Dorothea.
Including all the ones we've hit before. Because Lunar wasn't that great.
It was weird. It might be Petra.
I was thinking Sylvain.
But I kind of like Lorenz.
Lorenz was okay too.
No, Sylvain was pretty good too.
Okay, so I think we've got our three. Now we just have to figure out how to place them in order. I would probably say Sylvain, Petra, Lorenz.
That seems fair.
I can live with that. I can live with that.
All right, super. So, there's something about Dorothea and Sylvain where it's a lot of the supports they build up in such a way where it's okay, I can see how you get together. Whereas Dorothea and Sylvain from moment one was God, they're almost built for each other, aren't they?
Yeah. You almost have to deconstruct it and then reconstruct it.
Yeah.
Because it's a little too obvious.